Story time about how my boyfriend controls everything I do, including the way I dress and even my makeup. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it's gonna be on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together on and off for a year. From the beginning of the relationship, he started controlling the way that I dressed. He didn't like me wearing any tight clothes, short skirts or crop tops, anything that showed cleavage. He didn't even like me wearing any bathing suits or bikinis to the beach. I had to cover myself with a towel the entire time. This would obviously enrage me, and we would get into really severe fights because of it. I told him I needed a break because I didn't like being controlled. Of course, he got upset and told me that we should just break up. 2 months later, he messaged me on Instagram and we started seeing each other again. But of course, this time I told him that things were going to be different. At first, he agreed that he wouldn't control the way that I dressed, but instead he started controlling things like my hair and my makeup. He didn't want me to wear any makeup, like zero. Anytime we would hang out, he would automatically tell me to take off my lipstick. He said it called too much attention to my face, and he threatened to break up with me because obviously I was wanting attention from other men. That's when I calmly explained to him that I wore makeup for myself and not for anyone else, not even for him. Then he did the unthinkable. He grabbed a handful of my makeup and threw it into the toilet. Part 2 is up. That's when he grabbed a handful of my expensive makeup and threw it into the toilet. Disclaimers in my story time. Then he basically told me that he forbade me from ever wearing makeup again. That's when he also told me that he wanted me to close down my Instagram and that there were too many men commenting on my pictures telling me how beautiful I was. He told me I needed to grow up and become more mature instead of looking for men online. I told him that he was being jealous and insecure. That's when he got really mad. He told me the only person that I should want to look good for is him. Then he went around my bedroom looking for my makeup. He was in such a rage that I was afraid he was going to do something to me. Then he found my curling and straightening iron. He started trying to break him against my desk. That's when I told him I needed him to leave and that if he didn't leave, I would call the cops. He started laughing at me and told me that no cop would take me seriously. But he did end up leaving. We didn't speak for 3 weeks until he called me apologizing. I told him that there was no way I could accept him back into my life because he was too controlling. Then he asked me out for dinner, telling me he wanted to apologize to me. At this point, I still had feelings for him, so I said yes. And guess what? We ended up getting back together. But things only got worse. Part 3 is up. Part 3 of how my boyfriend controls everything I do, including the way that I dress. I made the mistake of taking him back for a second time. For the first few weeks, he was on his best behavior. We would go out to dinners and I would dress really cute and do my makeup and hair. Obviously, I could tell that it bothered him, but he was making an effort not to say anything or cause any fights. Here's when things get worse. My best friend had planned a whole party for my birthday. She even got a band and catering. I decided I wanted to buy a beautiful outfit. So my best friend and I go shopping. My boyfriend asked me if he could tag along and I had no choice but to say yes. As we were shopping, he started making little comments about dresses that I picked. He would say things like, "Wow, that's really short." Obviously, I didn't want to make a scene in front of my best friend, so I just ignored his comments. I finally chose a backless dress. It was so beautiful and I loved it so much. When I tried it on, my best friend complimented me, but all my boyfriend said was, "You look like a slut." That's when all hell broke loose. My best friend got right up in his face and told him that he couldn't come to the party. Of course, he got right up in her face too. He started attacking her with words. He told her she was a wannabe Kardashian, but that she would never be as beautiful. This all happened in like 10 seconds. I told my boyfriend to leave and he did. I asked him not to come to my birthday party, but he did anyway. As soon as he saw me, he pulled me aside and told me to change, and he even brought me this horrible dress to put on. That's when I had security kick him out. I called his mother and told her everything, and she's furious because she loves me. How should I break up with him?
Am I wrong for expecting my brother to uninvite my soon-to-be ex-husband and my friends from his wedding? My 34 female brother, 31 male, is getting married in a month. My brother is not friends with my friends, but he knows them by association and gets along with them, and he's invited them to his wedding. My soon-to-be ex is also invited. He was invited anyway before I found out certain stuff. My husband and I have known each other since high school, and we share the same friend group. His friends are my friends and vice versa. Recently, I found out that my husband has been cheating on me for 4 months with another woman, and all of our friends have been covering for him. They all knew and enabled him. I immediately filed for divorce. Oh my god, what shitty-ass friends. I came clean to my family about it a few days after I found out. They were all shocked and angry. My dad was more focused on my husband cheating, but my mom was more focused on our friends covering for him. My brother was also upset because he was close to my husband. My husband has left home and he's living with his sister for now. Yesterday, the topic of my brother's wedding came up and he was talking about the seating arrangements with me and my parents. He asked me if I would be comfortable to be seated next to my husband and our friends. I looked at him in disbelief and told him he shouldn't even be asking that question. I'm also upset that he's inviting them after all, especially my friends, since they're not his friends at all and he just knows them by association. Yeah, what the hell? That's shady. That's fucked up. What is your brother doing? He said it would be mean if he invited all of them just 1 month before the wedding and said that he understands why I feel uncomfortable, but he doesn't want to be mean. Fool, you are 31. These people screwed your sister. She's getting divorced from her husband because they covered his cheating ass, and you don't want to be mean? They weren't considering your feelings nor your sister's feelings when they were covering for her cheating ass husband. Like, you have no obligation to be nice to any of these people. I reminded him how my husband cheated on me and I got lied on by all my friends who were enabling him. He says he's very aware, but I should not insist on him uninviting them because it's his wedding and he makes the rules. Oh my god, not with this bullshit. I dropped it and didn't continue the conversation, but it got me thinking, am I the asshole for expecting my cheating husband and the friends who covered for him to get uninvited for my brother's wedding? I want to highlight that the whole cheating issue is fresh. It's barely been a month since I found out. Your brother's fucked up.
I, 33 male, have recently purchased and run a high-end bar. I want the venue to maintain a certain standard and image and therefore require my staff to wear professional work attire as the uniform. As with professional attire for most fields, this includes female staff wearing makeup. This is the image of my bar that I want my guests to experience. I see no issues with this, and when I worked hospitality when I was in my early 20s, female staff were always required to wear makeup, no dramas. I clearly communicate the acceptable uniform to my staff through the style guide I provide every few months. Lisa, 22, has decided that because she studied a women's course at uni, she's now more woke than us and has made an issue over me requiring the female staff to wear makeup and not the guys. This is quite laughable to me because obviously guys don't wear makeup for a professional uniform. Lisa, on Friday night, refused to wear makeup to her shift, and I had to send her home on a busy Friday night. She said it isn't fair that I have such a strict emphasis on female uniform when the male uniform is a lot less effort, and that it's discriminatory. She also said that if I want the girls to spend an hour doing a full face of makeup, then I can pay the girls an extra hour and the products. I laughed in her face and told her that my uniform does not differ from professional attire in any industry, and it's standard for women to wear makeup in professional environments. Furthermore, I'm the owner and can choose the attire my staff wear for the bar's look that I want. She said her wearing makeup does not compromise her ability to bartend and actually looks less professional when she's sweating in the makeup. I told her there are bars in our city that literally have females serving in lingerie, or hostesses dolled up to tens, and you're having a whine about dressing professionally? Have you ever been to Vegas? Do you think those girls working hostess jobs in hospitality don't have to look a certain way for that role? I sent her home. I was going to fire her if she did a repeat of this on Saturday, but she got all the girls to wear no makeup, and now none of them will work until I change the rules. Am I the asshole for requiring female staff to wear makeup as part of the professional work attire? I'm 34 and got married to my wife Claire 2 years ago. She has a 6-year-old daughter, my stepdaughter, that she shares custody of with her ex-husband Adam. So Adam hasn't dated anyone since him and Claire got separated. Claire always talked about how this was a good thing because she believes that my stepdaughter is better off without a witch stepmom to boss her around and abuse her. Then Adam started seeing his now girlfriend about 8 months ago. Claire wasn't happy about it, and in fact, she was livid that Adam introduced my stepdaughter to his girlfriend so soon. Claire demanded meetings with Adam's girlfriend to test and see what kind of stepmom she'd be for my stepdaughter. I didn't give it much attention because of the drama and always having mother-in-law involved as well. However, very recently I found out that Claire installed several cameras in Adam's house while he and his girlfriend were away on a trip. Claire had a key to Adam's house because most of my stepdaughter's stuff is there. Keep in mind that I found out by looking at the chat with Claire and my mother-in-law, so she wasn't on it too. It bothered me because it's a total breach of privacy, but when I confronted Claire, she said that she did this because Adam's girlfriend was going to move in soon and she wanted to see how she treats my stepdaughter. I told her this was wrong, but she said it's all temporary until Adam's girlfriend is in the clear. I still wasn't convinced and suggested that she remove the cameras because of huge legal troubles once Adam finds out, but she lost her temper on me, saying I should stay out of it because I clearly don't care about my stepdaughter's well-being and happiness. But she had no evidence or even reason to believe that Adam's girlfriend may mistreat my stepdaughter. Claire just said that she wants to double check, and Adam does not need to know. However, I disagreed and said that I'd tell him if she wouldn't remove the cameras, which made her lose it on me. She tried to get my mother-in-law to shut me down to get me to stay in my lane, but I couldn't. Claire said that if I tell Adam, we're going to have a problem and urged me to mind my own business because Adam isn't more important than my relationship with her. I still want to tell him, but given Claire's reaction, I'm going to get hell for this, and it may not be worth it since me and Adam aren't even on good terms. Am I the asshole for wanting to tell my stepdaughter's dad about the cameras my wife planted in his house while he was away?
Am I the asshole for telling the family that adopted my dog that they had no permission to rename him? I used to have a German Shepherd named Willie, but had to put him up for adoption because my future stepson is allergic to dogs, so Willie had to be out of the house before my fiance and her son moved in with me. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel like I had given up on Willie. I've had him since he was small, but I did thorough digging to find him the perfect home and the perfect family. I had met up with the family and they embraced him right away. They seemed nice and agreed to keep in contact so I could learn about how Willie's doing. This took place in December. I got busy with the holidays, then loads and loads of work, and was only able to call the family to check on Willie last week. Anyways, so while I was with them on the phone, I heard a small girl yelling, "Rudy," repeatedly. I asked who Rudy was, and they casually said it was Willie, but they gave him a new name. I was absolutely shocked. I asked if they were being serious with me, and they asked what's wrong. I absolutely lost it on them, telling them that that dog already has a name and that was given to him by his owner, and they should respect that. Plus, all his legal papers are under the name Willie, but I was surprised when they said they took care of that legally. Like how? I told them they had no permission from me to rename the dog point blank period. But they argued that Willie is theirs now and I have no say. I told them they were dead wrong and demanded that they have some respect and stop confusing him and start calling him with his real name. They refused, and we got into a huge fight on the phone and social media where they threatened to block me. I was so mad. I took the argument to their place where they threatened to report me for harassment. I decided to take a few days to let things settle down. Then I'd visit them again, but my fiance thinks I'm overstepping and should let the family decide this stuff without harassing them, which was an expected thing to hear from her since my stepson is the reason I had to let go of the dog in the first place. She got offended, but I told her that siding with strangers, mistreating...
I guess my athletic failures are pure entertainment and joy for y'all, so the show goes on. More stories. Today's Storytime with Hawk is about my first max out day in a college weight room. For those of you who don't know, max out day, they basically put as many weights on the bar as you can physically handle, and they dare you to do something about it. Now, at this point in time, I have never done a max out day in college. I have no idea what to expect. What do? I go find the nearest strength coach and ask him, Coach, what lift we got today? I gotta know. My coach looks at me. He lets out a gentle but sadistic laugh. Hawk, it's squat day. Everybody goes down, but everybody's not getting up. I didn't know it at that time, but he loosely threatened me. Proceed to ask this man, how much weight do we have on the bar today? He finishes his pre-workout. Yeah! Get your piss hot. At this point, I'm looking around the room. Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. I'm taking mental notes. Get piss hot before entering. I did end up hitting my PR. Okay, I had a good day, but that didn't matter. A man that I thought had to be 32 at least, 2 kids, eats metal plates for breakfast, walks in. His eyes, they're bloodshot red. He's got tears in them. Now this knockoff gorilla isn't hitting himself because he's nervous. He's not worried about nothing. After watching the King of the Jungle hit my max weight for reps, I decided I'd just send my video to my mom. She'd appreciate it. Not only does my mom laugh at the text, she responds and says, "Little boy, get your weight up."
Story time about the time I was kidnapped by my best friend's dad. I moved to a new town with my mom, away from my abusive dad when I was 12. Let's call my best friend Sarah. So Sarah's dad was the landlord of the new house we moved into. Sarah and I ate it off immediately the first time we met and became inseparable. We did everything together. My mom was a trader who moved from one town to another to trade, and so I was almost always sleeping over at Sarah's house. Sarah held her dad on a high pedestal, and I didn't blame her. The man treated her like a queen. Now, let's call Sarah's dad David. David was always nice to me, but sometimes I catch him staring at me. It was weird, but I didn't think much of it. One night, during a sleepover, I was thirsty, so I went to the kitchen for a drink. On the way to the kitchen, I saw David sitting in the living room watching sports. He asked me to bring him a glass of water. After giving the water to him, I was about to leave when he asked me to sit beside him on the couch. He asked about my dad, and that has always been an emotional topic for me. I broke down in tears as I told him how mean my dad has been to my mom and I. David asked me to put my head on his laps as I cried. It was weird, but I thought he was only trying to console me. I might have fallen asleep on his laps because I woke up the next day in Sarah's bedroom feeling uneasy and sore, and I couldn't remember how I got there.
Am I the asshole for going to IKEA with my girlfriend and then refusing to pay for half of everything?